I'm 87 years old. I've been a hospice doctor for 53 years. I've watched 4,279 people take their last breath. And I'm about to tell you something that every single one of them said in their final moments that nobody else has the courage to say. Not one person. Not a single soul out of 4,279 said they wished they'd worked more. Not one said they were glad they bought that bigger house. Not one said they were proud they won that argument with their sister in 2003 and never spoke to her again. You know what they said? They said a name. One name. Over and over. Sometimes it was Mom. Sometimes David. Sometimes Sarah. One 74-year-old man dying from liver failure kept whispering Tommy for 6 hours straight. Tommy was his son. Tommy lived in Seattle. Tommy was too busy to visit that week. Tommy got there 4 hours after his father died. I held that man's hand while he died alone, whispering his son's name. And here's what I know that you don't. You're Tommy. Maybe not literally, but you're doing exactly what Tommy did, right now, today, this morning. Let me tell you what I mean. My father's name was Robert James Mitchell, born March 3rd, 1911. Died September 17th, 1997, at 4:47 in the morning. I know the exact time because I looked at my watch when the nurse told me. I was in the hospital cafeteria getting coffee. Bad coffee. The kind that tastes like burnt rubber. I'd been there all night, but I went to get coffee at 4:30 because I was tired. I missed his death by 17 minutes because I wanted coffee. You're thinking, that's not your fault. You were there all night. And you're right. I was there all night. Just like I'd been there for 3 weeks while he was dying. I took time off work. I sat in that chair next to his bed. I held his hand. I was a good son. Except I wasn't. Here's what I didn't tell you. For the 42 years before that, I saw my father an average of 6 times per year. Christmas, Thanksgiving, his birthday, my birthday, Father's Day, and one random visit I'd squeeze in during summer. 6 times a year. That's 252 days total out of 15,330 days he was alive after I moved out. I lived 40 minutes away from him. 40 minutes. You know what's 40 minutes? That's one episode of a TV show. That's less time than you spend scrolling your phone before bed. That's nothing. But I was busy. I had a career. I was building something. I went to medical school, did my residency, built a practice. I worked 70-hour weeks for 20 years straight. I was important. I was saving lives. My father worked at a hardware store. He sold hammers and nails and light bulbs for 43 years. He'd come home with sawdust on his pants. He never made more than $32,000 a year. He drove the same Ford pickup truck for 19 years. I made that much in a month by the time I was 40. I felt superior. I really did. I'd visit him on Christmas and he'd show me some birdhouse he built, all proud. And I'd think, I'm performing surgeries. I'm saving lives. You're building birdhouses. I never said it, but I thought it. And he knew. You know how I know he knew? Because on September 12th, 1997, 5 days before he died, he was barely conscious. Morphine drip. Lung cancer had spread everywhere. He could barely speak. But he grabbed my hand, looked right at me, and he said, I'm proud of you, son. I know you were always too busy for your old man, but I'm proud of you anyway. Too busy for your old man." He said it without anger, without resentment, just fact, like he was commenting on the weather. I told him I loved him. I told him I was sorry. I told him I wished I'd visited more. He squeezed my hand and said, "I know." Then he closed his eyes and didn't really wake up again. 5 days later, he died while I was getting coffee. Here's the thing. I thought that moment, September 12th, at 2:15 in the afternoon, was my wake-up call. I thought, okay, I learned my lesson. I'll be different now. I'll prioritize people over work. I'll be present. I made that promise to myself standing in that hospital room. I broke it almost immediately. My mother was still alive. She was 83. She lived in the same house I grew up in, the house my father had died in before we brought him to the hospital that final week. I promised myself I'd visit her twice a week, minimum. You know how often I actually visited? Maybe twice a month. On a good month. I'd call her every Sunday. That counted, right? I'd spend 20 minutes on the phone with her every single Sunday. I'd ask about her week, tell her about mine, make sure she was okay. But here's what I was actually doing during those calls. I was half listening while I checked my email, while I reviewed patient files, while I watched TV on mute. She'd tell me about her neighbor, Margaret, and how Margaret's daughter was getting divorced. And I'd say, that's tough. But I wasn't actually listening. I was reading an email about a consultation scheduled for Tuesday. She knew, just like my father knew. One Sunday, March 8th, 1998, she said, "You don't have to call me if you're busy, sweetheart. I know you've got important things to do." "No, Mom," I said. "I want to call you. I love talking to you." I was literally typing an email while I said it. She died 4 years later. Heart attack. Quick, thank God. She didn't suffer like my father did. But I did the math afterward. Those 4 years, if I'd actually visited twice a week like I promised, that would have been 416 visits. I probably made 90. I missed 326 opportunities to sit with my mother. You're thinking, okay, but you called every Sunday. You were there for her. And maybe you're right. Maybe I'm being too hard on myself. Except I'm not, because I know what I was really doing during those 4 years. I was building my reputation. I was publishing research papers. I was speaking at conferences. I was on the board of directors for the hospital. I was mentoring young doctors. I was doing important things. My mother sat alone in that house, the same house where she'd raised me, where she'd lived with my father for 51 years. She'd eat dinner alone every night. She'd watch Jeopardy by herself. She'd go to bed at 8:30 because what else was there to do? And every Sunday, her important son would call her for 20 minutes while checking his email. I gave the eulogy at her funeral. I talked about what a wonderful mother she was, how she sacrificed everything for me, how she supported my dreams, how she was my biggest fan. Everyone cried. They told me it was beautiful. They told me I was a good son. I wasn't a good son. You want to know how I know? Because of what I found in her nightstand drawer when I was cleaning out her house. She kept a journal. Nothing fancy. Just a small spiral notebook where she'd write a few sentences every day. Just highlights, nothing deep. I read the whole thing. Every single entry from 1998 to 2002. You know what most of the entries said? Sunday, David called, 20 minutes. Sunday, David called, sounds busy. Sunday, David called, think he was distracted. Sunday, no call from David today, must have forgotten. Monday, David called today instead, was very apologetic. 4 years of Sunday entries. That was her life. Waiting for Sunday phone calls from her son, who was half present at best. There was one entry that broke me. December 16th, 2001, 3 months before she died. Watched families at the mall today. Christmas shopping. Everyone together. Came home. Made dinner for one. Watched Jeopardy. David called. He sounds tired. Told him I love him. He said, "Love you too, Mom. Gotta go." 12 minutes today. 12 minutes. I gave her 12 minutes that day. On December 16th, 2001, my mother sat alone in that house, watching families together, eating dinner for one, and her son gave her 12 minutes. I was probably at some holiday party that night, networking, building relationships with other doctors, doing important things. Here's what I want you to understand. I'm not telling you this story to make you feel sorry for me. I'm telling you this because you're doing the exact same thing. Right now, today. You've got someone in your life. Maybe it's your mother. Maybe it's your father. Maybe it's your grandmother who raised you. Maybe it's your best friend from college you haven't called in 6 months. And you keep telling yourself you'll visit more. You'll call more. You'll be more present. But you won't. You know why? Because you're busy. You've got important things to do. You're building something. You've got a career. You've got goals. You've got ambitions. Just like I did. And one day you're going to be standing at a funeral, giving a eulogy about how much you love them. And everyone will cry and tell you it was beautiful. And you'll know the truth. You'll remember all those times you were too busy. You'll remember all those phone calls where you were half present. You'll remember all those visits you promised yourself you'd make but never did. And it'll be too late. I'm 87 years old now. I've been doing this work for 53 years. And I'm going to tell you something that might make you angry. Every single person I've watched die had the same regret. Every one. Not some of them. Not most of them. All of them. The 45-year-old father of 3 who worked 90-hour weeks to give his family a better life. He died of a heart attack in his office. His kids were 12, 9, and 6. You know what his 12-year-old daughter said at the funeral? I barely knew him. He was giving them a better life. Except he wasn't in their life. The 68-year-old woman who spent 40 years climbing the corporate ladder, made VP, corner office, 6-figure salary, retired at 65 with a pension that would have made anyone jealous, diagnosed with Alzheimer's at 67, dead at 68. She spent 40 years preparing for a retirement she got to enjoy for 2 years before her brain forgot who she was. The 52-year-old man who kept promising his wife they'd travel someday. Someday when the business was more stable. Someday when they had more money saved. Someday when things calmed down. She died in a car accident on a Tuesday. He never took her to Paris. He never took her anywhere. I sat with him 2 years later when he was dying from alcoholism. You know what he said? I had the money. I had the time. I just kept thinking we had more time. We always think we have more time. Here's what nobody tells you. That voice in your head that says, I'll do it later, isn't logical. It's not reasonable. It's not even true. It's fear. You're not actually too busy to call your mother. You're afraid the conversation will be awkward. You're afraid she'll ask for something you don't want to give. You're afraid you'll have to sit with the guilt of not calling more often. You're not actually too busy to visit your father. You're afraid you'll run out of things to talk about. You're afraid of the silence. You're afraid he'll be disappointed in you, or worse, you'll see how much he's aged and have to confront his mortality. You're not actually too busy for your friend who's going through a divorce. You're afraid it'll be uncomfortable. You're afraid you won't know what to say. You're afraid their pain will make you think about your own life. So you say, I'm busy. And you believe it, because it's easier than admitting you're scared. I did this for decades. Decades. After my mother died, I promised myself I'd be different with everyone else in my life. I had a younger brother, Richie, 2 years younger than me. We grew up sharing a bedroom in that same house. By the time we were adults, we'd talk maybe 3 times a year. Quick calls. Hey, how are you? Good, good. How are the kids? Great. We should get together sometime. Yeah, definitely. I'll call you. Never called. In 2005, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Caught it late. Stage 3. I'm a doctor. I knew what that meant. I knew his odds. I told myself, okay, this is it. This is your chance. Don't make the same mistake again. I visited him twice during his treatment. Twice in 8 months. I called more often, maybe once a week. But here's the truth. Those calls were obligation. They were check boxes. Called Richie. Done. I'm a good brother. I wasn't a good brother. August 22nd, 2006, Tuesday. I was at a medical conference in Boston, presenting research on end-of-life care. The irony isn't lost on me. My phone rang during dinner. It was Richie's wife, Carol. David, you need to come. It's time. I was 3 hours away. I got in my car. Drove 90 miles per hour the whole way. Got pulled over once. Told the cop my brother was dying. He let me go. I got there at 11:47 p.m. Richie had died at 11:20. 27 minutes. I missed my brother's death by 27 minutes because I was at a conference presenting research about how to help dying patients. Carol was kind. She said, he hung on as long as he could. He kept asking if you were coming. He kept asking if I was coming. My little brother. The kid I shared a bedroom with. The kid I taught to ride a bike. The kid who looked up to me his entire life. He died asking if I was coming. I didn't speak for 3 days after that. I couldn't. Every time I tried, I'd start crying. My wife, Jennifer, she tried to comfort me. You were there for him during his treatment. You called him every week. You were a good brother. But I wasn't. And I knew it. Because during those 8 months of his treatment, you know how many times I actually sat with him? Really sat with him. Not checking my phone, not thinking about work, not watching the clock. Maybe twice. Maybe. The rest of the time I was there physically, but I wasn't present. I was thinking about patients, about research, about the next conference, about my career. I was thinking about everything except the dying man in front of me. And here's the thing that makes it worse. This is my job. This is what I do. I'm supposed to be the expert on death. I'm supposed to understand mortality. I'm supposed to know better. And I still did it. If I couldn't get it right, with all my experience, with all my knowledge, with 4,279 deaths under my belt, what chance do you have? You're sitting there right now thinking about someone you need to call, someone you need to visit, someone you've been meaning to reach out to. And you're going to close this video and go back to your life. You're going to tell yourself you'll do it tomorrow, this weekend, next month, when things calm down. You won't. I know you won't, because I didn't, and I had every reason to, and I still didn't. Let me tell you about a patient I had, James Morrison, 71 years old, lung cancer, 3 months to live, maybe 4. He had a son, Michael. Michael lived in Denver. James lived here in Ohio. That's a 2-hour flight, a $300 ticket. Nothing. Michael came to visit once when we gave James the diagnosis. Stayed for 3 days. Cried. Promised he'd visit more. Promised they'd make up for lost time. Michael visited twice more in those 4 months. Once for a weekend. Once for his father's last week. You know what James said to me on a Wednesday afternoon about 6 weeks before he died? We were sitting in his room. He was looking out the window, just staring. He said, "Doc, I don't blame him. I really don't. He's got a life. He's got kids. He's busy. I get it." Then he was quiet for maybe 2 minutes. Then he said, "But God, I wish he'd call more. Not because he has to, just because he wants to." James died on a Sunday morning. Michael got there Saturday night. He sat with his father for 9 hours, held his hand, told him stories, cried. At the funeral, Michael gave a beautiful eulogy, talked about what a great father James was, how much he loved him, how much he'd miss him. I saw Michael 3 years later, ran into him at a coffee shop downtown. We talked for a few minutes. He told me he thinks about his father every day. He told me he wishes he'd visited more. Then he checked his watch, said he had to go, said his own son was waiting for him at home, said they were supposed to watch a game together. I said, "Don't make him wait. Go." He smiled, said goodbye, left. You know what I thought? I thought, he's going to do the same thing his father did, and his son is going to do the same thing he did, and it's going to keep happening forever. Because that's what we do. We tell ourselves we're different. We tell ourselves we learned from our parents' mistakes. We tell ourselves we'll be more present. But we won't. We're not. You're 32 years old. You've got a career to build. You've got bills to pay. You've got a mortgage. You've got ambitions. Your parents are only 60. They're healthy. You've got time. You're 45 years old. You're in the thick of it now. Kids in middle school. Promotion on the line. Your parents are 73. They're slowing down, but they're fine. You'll visit more when things calm down. When the kids are older. When you get that promotion. You're 58 years old. You finally made it. Corner office. Financial security. Your parents are 86. Your mother has dementia. Your father just had a stroke. Now you visit every week. Now you're present. But they don't recognize you half the time. You're there, but they're already gone. I've watched this exact pattern 1,000 times. Different names, different faces, same story. The child who was too busy finally shows up when the parent is too far gone to remember them. Here's what I need you to understand. Your brain is lying to you right now. Your brain is saying, okay, but I'm actually busy. I've got real responsibilities. This is different. It's not different. Everyone thinks they're the exception. Everyone thinks their situation is unique. Everyone thinks they'll have time later. I had a patient last year, Elizabeth, 83, ovarian cancer. She had a granddaughter, Amy. Amy was 26, lived across town, 20-minute drive. Elizabeth told me Amy visited once a month. They'd have lunch, talk for an hour. It was nice. But Elizabeth wanted more. Not more visits necessarily. She just wanted Amy to stay longer, to not be in such a hurry, to put her phone down. Elizabeth said to me, "She's always checking that thing, even when we're talking. I'll be in the middle of a story, and I can see her eyes go to her phone. She thinks I don't notice." But she noticed. They always notice. Elizabeth died 3 months ago. Amy was there. She held her grandmother's hand. She cried. She said, "I love you, Grandma." Elizabeth couldn't respond. She was unconscious. But I saw her squeeze Amy's hand. You know what Amy said to me after? She said, "I should have visited more. I should have put my phone down. I should have really listened to her stories, even the ones I'd heard before." Should have, should have, should have. That's the word I hear most in this job. Should have. I should have called more. I should have visited more. I should have told him I loved him. I should have listened. I should have been present. Should have means it's too late. Here's what nobody tells you about regret. It doesn't feel like sadness. It feels like a hole in your chest that never closes. You'll be driving to work and suddenly you'll remember a specific moment, a specific conversation, a specific phone call where you were distracted, and it'll hit you like a truck. This happened to me last Tuesday. Last Tuesday. I'm 87 years old. My father has been dead for 29 years. My mother has been dead for 24 years. My brother has been dead for 20 years. And last Tuesday, I was driving to the grocery store, and I remembered a specific Sunday in 1999. My mother called. I was watching a football game. The Cowboys were playing. I don't even like the Cowboys. She wanted to tell me about her garden. Her tomatoes were doing well. I said, "That's great, Mom. Hey, can I call you back? The game's on." She said, "Of course, sweetheart." I never called back. It was just one Sunday, one missed call, one garden story about tomatoes. But last Tuesday, 27 years later,
I had to pull over because I was crying so hard I couldn't see the road. 27 years later, and it still feels like yesterday. That's what you're signing up for. That's what too busy costs. Not just guilt, not just sadness. A lifetime of specific moments that will ambush you when you least expect it.
A lifetime of should've. So let me tell you what's happening right now. Right this second. You're reading this. You're nodding along. You're thinking, yeah, he's right. I should call my mom more. I should visit my dad. I should reach out to my old friend. And then you're going to close this and go back to your life. You'll scroll social media. You'll check your work email. You'll watch Netflix. You'll tell yourself you'll make that call tomorrow, this weekend, next week. You won't. And I can't stop you. That's the thing that kills me after 53 years of doing this work. I can't stop you. I can tell you about the 29-year-old mother who died in a car crash and her daughter grew up without her. I can tell you about the 55-year-old man who had a heart attack at his desk and his wife found him cold when she brought him lunch. I can tell you about the 71-year-old woman who fell in her kitchen and laid there for 3 days before her neighbor found her because her son was too busy to return her calls. I can tell you all of this, and you'll still do exactly what you've always done. You know why? Because you think you're different. You think death happens to other people. You think you have time. Let me tell you something about time. Time is the biggest liar you'll ever meet. Time says, don't worry, you'll see them next month. Time says, they're healthy, you've got years. Time says, you'll make it up to them later. Time is a liar. I had a patient 2 months ago, Kevin, 47 years old, healthy, ran marathons, ate well, didn't smoke, didn't drink, did everything right. Brain aneurysm, dead in 4 minutes. His daughter was 16, Sophie. She was at a friend's house when it happened. The last conversation she had with her father was that morning. He asked her to unload the dishwasher before school. She rolled her eyes and said, "Dad, I'm busy." She was scrolling TikTok. That's what busy meant. That was the last thing she ever said to him. "Dad, I'm busy." She's going to live with that for the next 70 years, every single day, every birthday, every graduation, every wedding. Every moment she wishes she could share with him, she'll remember that her last words to him were, "I'm busy," while she scrolled TikTok. You think that's dramatic? You think I'm exaggerating? I watched her at the funeral. 16 years old, couldn't stop crying, kept saying, "I should have unloaded the dishwasher. I should have just unloaded the dishwasher." It wasn't about the dishwasher. It was about the missed moment. It was about choosing a phone over her father. And here's what you need to understand. You're doing this right now. Right now, today, this very morning, there's someone in your life who wants to talk to you, who wants to see you, who's waiting for you to call, and you're not calling. You're busy. You've got things to do. You've got a meeting at 2 o'clock. You've got errands to run. You've got emails to answer. Your mother is 68 years old. You know how much time you probably have left with her. If you're lucky, 10 years, maybe 15. You know how many days that is? 3,650 days if you get 10 years. 5,475 if you get 15. Sounds like a lot, right? Let's say you visit her once a week. That's 52 visits per year. Over 10 years, that's 520 visits. Let's say each visit is 4 hours. That's 2,080 hours total. 2,080 hours left with your mother. That's 86 days. 86 actual days of time. You've got 86 days left with your mother, and you're spending today answering emails. Your father is 72. He's got maybe 5 good years left. Maybe. After that, it's doctor appointments and hospital visits and confusion and pain. 5 years. That's 260 weeks. If you call him once a week for 30 minutes, that's 130 hours of conversation left. 5.5 days.
You've got 5.5 days of conversation left with your father, and you haven't called him in 3 weeks because you've been busy. Your best friend from college, the one who knew you when you were 19 and stupid and broke, the one who helped you move 3 times, the one who was at your wedding. You haven't talked to him in 6 months. Not because you had a fight, not because anything happened, just because life got busy. He could die tomorrow. You know that, right? He could have an aneurysm like Kevin. He could get hit by a car. He could get diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and be dead in 3 months. And your last interaction will be a text message from February that says, "Haha, yeah man, we should grab a beer soon." You didn't grab a beer. You didn't make time. You were busy. Here's what I need you to hear. Really hear. Everyone dies. Everyone. There are no exceptions. Not for good people, not for young people, not for people who eat kale and run marathons. Not for you. Not for me. Not for anyone. Death doesn't care about your plans. Death doesn't care about your career. Death doesn't care that you were going to call next week. Death just shows up. And when it does, everything you thought was important becomes meaningless in about 4 seconds. The promotion you've been working toward? Meaningless. The house you're saving for? Meaningless. The argument you won? Meaningless. The money in your bank account? Meaningless. The only thing that matters, the only thing that has ever mattered, is the people you loved and whether you actually showed them while they were alive. Not at their funeral, while they were alive. I've been to 4,279 funerals. You know what I've never seen? I've never seen someone stand up and say, "Man, I really wish Dad had worked more overtime." I've never seen someone cry and say, "If only Mom had answered one more work email." What I've seen is people standing at funerals saying, "I wish I'd called more. I wish I'd visited more. I wish I'd told them I loved them more. I wish I'd put down my phone and actually listened." Wish, wish, wish. You still have time to not wish. But that time is running out faster than you think. Your mother isn't going to live forever. Your father isn't going to live forever. Your friend isn't going to live forever. You're not going to live forever. And one day, you're going to be the one in the hospital bed. You're going to be the one dying. And you're going to look back at your life, and you're going to see all these moments you missed because you were busy. You're going to remember that Sunday you didn't call back, that weekend you didn't visit, that coffee you didn't grab, that walk you didn't take. And you're going to want those moments back more than anything in the world. More than money, more than success, more than anything. But you won't get them back. Time doesn't work that way.
So here's what you're going to do. Not tomorrow, not this weekend, not when things calm down. Today, right now, this second. You're going to stop reading this. You're going to pick up your phone and you're going to call someone. Your mother, your father, your sibling, your friend, someone who matters. And you're not going to have a quick call. You're not going to ask how they are and hang up after 5 minutes. You're not going to check your email while they talk. You're going to actually call them. You're going to ask them a real question. You're going to listen to their answer. You're going to stay on the phone even when the conversation gets slow. You're going to tell them you love them. And then you're going to do it again next week. And the week after that, and the week after that.
Not because you have to, not because you feel guilty, but because they're going to die. Maybe this year, maybe in 10 years, but they're going to die. And when they do, you want to know that you actually showed up, that you were actually present, that you actually loved them while you had the chance. I'm 87 years old. I've watched 4,279 people die. I've held their hands. I've heard their regrets. I've seen their families fall apart with guilt. And I'm telling you, right now, with absolute certainty, nothing you're doing today is more important than the people you love. Nothing. Your career will forget you. Your company will replace you. Your achievements will fade. But the people who love you, they'll remember every conversation, every visit, every moment you chose them. Or they'll remember every time you didn't. My father died 29 years ago. I can tell you exactly what I was wearing the last time I saw him. I can tell you what the room smelled like. I can tell you the exact words he said. And I can tell you every single time I chose work over him. Every phone call I cut short. Every visit I skipped. Every moment I was physically there, but mentally somewhere else. 29 years later, and I remember all of it. That's what you're building right now. Memories. The only question is, what kind? The kind where you showed up, or the kind where you were too busy? Choose now, because later is running out. Make the call today.